It is 7:14 in the morning here in Oklahoma City, and the air feels like it is pressing down on everything. It is heavy. There is no wind outside the studio. Not even the flag on the post out there is moving. I came up the steps just now, and for a second I thought maybe I had gone deaf because there were no car sounds, no birds, nothing. I know people keep saying the birds left yesterday, but it is something else to walk outside and actually not hear one at all. Even the street dogs are quiet. It is like the whole city is holding its breath. I am sitting in this small room with just the generator going and the smell of gasoline and a fan pushing warm air around my neck, and I keep thinking that someone somewhere is still listening. Maybe you are sitting on your floor right now with your radio pulled close because nothing else works anymore. Maybe it is your last battery and you are scared to waste it. I don't know. I just know that I am going to keep talking while I can. I am James Stone, and if my voice makes it through the static, then at least we are not alone. Stores open. No rules. What's the first stupid thing you grab before the shelves are empty? Let me know in the comments below. I don't know where to start anymore. A week ago, this was just a strange weather report. That was all. Storm warnings. People have always joked about Tornado Alley, but this is not a joke now. I was here last Friday at noon when the first alert started to come in about a system over the Gulf that nobody could predict. They said the clouds were moving in a way that was not normal. It wasn't spinning like a hurricane. They said the whole thing was bending, like the air currents themselves were twisted into knots. Then it started to crawl inland, and every update after that was just confusion. No one knew how to track it. Some parts moved fast, others slow, but all of it was coming north. I was outside that night, and the sky was this deep green that I have never seen before. It smelled like copper. And then there was this flash in the clouds. Not lightning. It was like something folding over itself. People said it looked like the ground was moving too, like the air had weight and was dragging the streets and the houses with it. That's when the power lines started to hum louder than I have ever heard in my life. I thought they were going to melt. Then the lights went out. I was driving back to the station and my car just died. Not even a flicker. The whole dash went black, no brakes, nothing. And I am not the only one. All around me, cars stopped in the middle of the road. People ran out of them thinking it was an accident. And then you hear that sound. Hundreds of car horns frozen in the same long tone because no one could turn anything off. From then on, it has been a free fall. No phones. No internet. The emergency alerts from TV and phones are gone. It is like someone pulled the plug on the entire country. Some of the old radios still work, and some of the stations like this one that still have gas for a generator are trying to stay on air. I have not heard a single official voice in days. No weather reports. No governor. No president. It's just silence. Yesterday, someone came by here on a bicycle. He was a retired weather guy, worked at the station back when we were still small. His name is Harold. He was sweating through his shirt and out of breath, but he said he wanted to tell me what he thinks is happening. He said this is bigger than a storm. He said the air above us is doing something he never thought possible. He says there are rotations inside rotations, not just in the clouds, but in the pressure systems on the ground. He thinks the jet stream has collapsed and is pulling the surface winds with it like a whirlpool. He said if the weather doesn't stop twisting, the whole middle of the country is going to be unlivable. He told me to get as much water as I can and not leave the station. And then he just got on his bike and kept riding west. I have been walking outside during the day when the heat lets me. The streets are different now. Most of the cars are abandoned. You see some broken windows where people tried to get into stores when the power went out. There are little fires from time to time, but they burn out fast. I see people carrying bags, not big suitcases like they are leaving town, just small bags. They don't even look at you. Everyone has their eyes on the sky like they are waiting for something to drop. If you can hear this, the first thing I need to tell you is to find water. Not the bottles in stores, because those are gone now. Find a way to catch it. Buckets, old bathtubs, anything. If you are in an apartment, check the rooftop drains. There is a weird kind of mist coming from the south, and it leaves wet streaks on the windows in the morning. I don't know if it is safe to drink. It smells a little like metal. But if you boil it, it's something. I tried to find out how bad it is in other places. Before the shortwave signals went crazy with static, there were voices saying that Dallas went dark 2 days ago. No power, no traffic lights. Some said the National Guard was moving people north, but no one knows where. There was also talk that the Mississippi River stopped moving. I don't know if that's true. It sounds insane, but everything sounds insane right now. It is so strange to be in a world where you can't just look up the news. You just have to trust the voices you hear, if you hear any at all. The people out there now are scared of each other. Some people still try to be good. I saw a woman giving away sandwiches yesterday on the curb. She had them wrapped in foil like she was ready for a picnic, but she looked like she was about to cry. She just kept saying she had to do something. Little things like that keep me going. The studio is hot as hell right now. We turned off the air conditioner days ago to save power. The generator rattles every few minutes like it is about to choke. I have a small flashlight hanging from the ceiling with tape because the main lights don't work anymore. And I am sitting here watching the needle on the battery meter drop while I talk. I know I said I would tell you what I see out there. Let me tell you what it looks like this morning. From this window, all I can see are clouds. They are not normal clouds. They move in every direction at once. Some of them stretch like they are being pulled apart. The ground below them is still. No cars. No people. I can see a stray Walmart bag stuck on a tree, and it hasn't moved an inch since yesterday. I think about home a lot when I sit here. My parents live in a small house near Norman. I haven't been able to reach them since the first night. I don't even know if the storm reached them yet. Maybe they are sitting on their porch with candles, like it is a camping trip. Or maybe it is worse than that. I try not to think about it too hard, or I can't breathe. I don't know how long I can keep this up. I am going to try to make another broadcast at 6 tonight if the generator is still working. If you are listening, stay inside. Don't drive. Don't waste your batteries. If someone knocks on your door at night, don't open it. It is not safe anymore. I am going to keep talking as long as I can. If this is all that's left, at least someone out there knows they are not alone. It is hard to tell how many hours pass when there is no signal, no clock on the wall that you can trust because the batteries run down faster now. I have been sitting in this chair just listening to the sound of the generator. Sometimes it skips, and I think it is going to stop, and I freeze. I have been drinking the water that I collected in the buckets on the roof 2 days ago, and it tastes like metal. But there is nothing else left. The tap has been dry since Monday morning. It is strange how quickly you get used to the sound of nothing. A week ago, if you told me there would be no engines, no fans, no traffic, no voices outside, I would have said that was impossible. Now it is just the way things are. I walked out of the studio earlier to get a look at the south side of the city. It is worse than yesterday. The sky looks bruised. There are these swirls that move like something under the surface is trying to push out, but can't. The streets are full of cars that never started again after the first blackout. Some of them are crashed into light poles. Others are just in the middle of the street with the doors hanging open. I saw a man sitting in the front seat of a pickup truck just staring at his steering wheel. Like maybe if he stared long enough, it would come back on. I didn't go close. People don't like strangers now. Everyone looks like they are waiting for someone to come and take what little they have. There are a few fires still burning around town. Small ones. Trash mostly. No fire trucks anymore. People just let it burn out. Last night I saw a glow to the west, and this morning all that's left is a black line of smoke across the horizon. You start to read smoke like a language after a while. Thin smoke means someone's cooking. Heavy, dark smoke means something big went up. You hope for thin smoke because it means people are still trying to eat. I keep thinking about how fast it happened. Friday we still had light. We still had air conditioning, and people still checked their phones every 2 minutes like always. By Sunday morning, it was like someone flipped a switch. Everything off. The sound of the world just cut. Even the sirens stopped. The only thing you can hear now are your own shoes on the road, and that weird wind that isn't even moving things. It is like standing inside a big empty room where someone else is breathing, and you can't see them. I am trying to piece together what Harold told me when he came on that bike. He said the storm is not normal, because the ground is moving with the air. He said, if the spinning doesn't stop, there could be permanent damage to the land itself. I don't even know what that means. He said something about plates, that the pressure could make the ground shift in ways that are not supposed to happen here. He said to watch for cracks in the roads, and I have. Yesterday I saw a split right down the middle of 10th Street. Not an earthquake crack. It looked like the asphalt had been twisted apart, and when I stood near it I could feel heat coming up from it, like the road was breathing. I walked away fast. People keep coming by the station to ask me if I've heard anything new. They stand outside the door and wait until I tell them no. Nothing. They ask if the army is coming, if the president is still alive, if the storm is going to leave. I can't tell them anything. I just tell them to find food, find water, stay together. You can tell by their faces that no one knows who to trust anymore. It is hard to explain, but there is this look now, like everyone is a ghost walking around in their own body. I have been thinking a lot about the small things I took for granted. Ice, cold water, a working fan. Right now, I would give anything to hear an air conditioner hum. The heat is like a second skin on my back. I have to sleep sitting up most of the time, because if I lay down, it feels like I can't breathe. The nights are the worst. You hear people yelling in the dark sometimes. Sometimes you hear glass break, but most of the time, it is just that silence again. If you are listening, I am going to tell you how I am staying alive right now. Maybe it will help you. I found a way to use the roof to catch whatever wetness comes down from the clouds in the early morning. It is not clean, but I boil it in an old pot over a fire I made in a metal trash bin. That is my water. For food, I still have some cans from the vending machine downstairs. They are warm and taste like metal, but I eat them slow. When I leave here, I take a stick with me. Not for animals, for people. It makes them think twice. If you are alone and you have to move, make sure someone knows where you are going. even if it's just a note. And don't trust every light you see. Some people use lights to draw you in and take what you have. I keep waiting to hear a voice from another city. Anything. The last thing I heard on shortwave was someone in Kansas saying they saw the clouds pulling down close to the ground like a funnel, but without spinning in one place. He said it moved like a wave. After that, the static got so loud that I had to turn it off. I don't know how long this will go on. The gas for this generator is going to run out soon, and when that happens, I guess I will just sit here and talk to the walls. If there is anyone out there who can hear me, remember that we are still here. You are not the last one. I am going to keep coming on at 6 in the evening as long as I can. It might be the last voice you hear, but at least it is a voice. I am thinking about my family again. I keep seeing my mom's face when I close my eyes. She always said storms were nothing to be afraid of. She used to sit on the porch during the tornado sirens and watch the clouds roll. She said you can tell by looking at the sky what's coming. But I don't think anyone could have told this. Not even her. I hope they are inside somewhere. I hope someone has a radio. Talking. Waiting. And I am not going to stop as long as there is fuel left in that generator. It is early afternoon now, I think. The light is strange out there, so I am guessing by how warm the room is getting. The clock on the wall stopped 2 days ago. I haven't fixed it because there is no point. Time doesn't mean what it used to. The only time that matters now is when the generator coughs, and I know I have to go out and pour in more fuel. Every time I pull that cord to start it back up, I get scared that this is the time it won't come back. If that happens, that's it. The station goes silent, and there's no more reason to stay here. I was sitting outside the back door about an hour ago, trying to feel some breeze. None came. It's still thick, like the air itself is tired. There was a boy out there with a little red wagon. I don't know how old he was, maybe 12 or 13. He had a blanket in the wagon and something lumpy under it. He stopped on the corner and just stared at me. I waved. He didn't wave back. After a while, he just kept walking, pulling that wagon, and I still don't know what he had in there. I didn't try to find out. That's the kind of world it is now. You see something strange and you just let it be, because you don't know if you can handle the answer. The city is emptied out in a way that doesn't make sense. I thought there would be more people moving around looking for food or help, but instead there's this waiting, like everyone knows something bigger is coming. I heard a sound last night. I thought at first it was thunder, but there was no flash. It was deep, coming from the ground, and it just rolled for almost a minute. Then nothing. After that, the street dogs started howling. It scared me so bad, I almost couldn't breathe. I keep going back to that first night, when everything turned off. The cars stopped, the lights went out, the phones just died in people's hands. People were running in all directions. It was like someone had taken away the world we knew in 1 second. There was a man who ran up to me on 4th Street with his little girl in his arms. She had a phone that wouldn't turn on. He kept asking me to fix it. I told him I couldn't. He just stood there shaking me, screaming at me, because he didn't know what else to do. I keep seeing his face. There's a grocery store not far from here. It's all glass in the front. Every time I walk by, there are more windows broken. People take whatever they can find. But even the shelves in the back are empty now. All the frozen food went bad the first day. You can smell it from outside. The worst part is the fruit. It rots so fast in this heat that there are flies all over it. It smells like sour alcohol. Harold told me something else that day he came by on his bike. He said there's a chance the air is changing because of something higher up, something that never happened before. He said when currents stop moving right, you get parts of the planet where the air doesn't circulate the same way anymore, like a dead zone. That's what this feels like. The air doesn't move. It just sits. It makes you feel like there's a lid over your head. I don't know how much people out there can do. I don't know if there's anywhere safe to go. If you can, you need to start thinking about what you need to stay alive without power. Old things, hand tools, matches. Things that don't need electricity. A manual can opener, a good knife, buckets to collect water. Anything that can help you keep food from spoiling. If you have an old radio that takes batteries, guard it with your life. There's a man who comes by here sometimes and sits on the steps. He doesn't say anything. He just sits there all day and leaves when it gets dark. Yesterday, he said his name is Luke. He worked at a power plant. He said when the storm came in, everything at the plant shut down at once. Not just the lines, but the backup systems. He said there was nothing they could do. The whole place went dark. No fires, no sparks, no smoke. Just dark. He said he's never seen anything like that in 30 years. I asked him what he thinks caused it. He just shook his head and said it's like the whole sky pulled the plug. I haven't heard a single plane since Friday. Not one. Usually you hear them all the time here, but now the sky is empty. Someone told me there's no radar working anymore. Last night, I thought about what it would be like if the wind finally picked up again. I think I would cry, just to feel air move across my face. I don't even care if it's hot. This stillness makes everything feel wrong. If you're out there and you still have family near you, hold on to them. Stay close. It's easy to think you can handle this alone, but you can't. You need someone else to talk to, or you'll lose your head. Even the people I see on the street who pretend to be tough, they're looking for someone to follow. I'll keep this short now, because I need to let the generator cool. I'll be back again if I can. If you can hear me, keep going. Keep breathing. That's all you can do right now. I don't know if anyone is still able to write things down anymore. Maybe you have a notebook like I do. I started writing a few things on paper when I am not on air. It feels strange to do that, because I never thought about paper as something important. Now, it's the only way to remember what day it is. I drew a little line for every day since everything went out. 7 lines so far. 7. It feels like it has been months. I went out early this morning, before the heat got bad, to look for water again. I walked about 6 blocks west and found an old kiddie pool in someone's backyard. It had maybe 3 inches of brown water in it, dead leaves and bugs floating on top. I scooped some of it out into my bucket. People might think that's disgusting, but when you're this thirsty, you don't think about taste anymore. You just boil it and drink it. The funny thing is, there was a tree next to the pool, and tied around the trunk with rope was a sign written with a black marker. It said, "Don't touch. Our last water." I stared at it for a while, and then I just left half the water in the pool, because I don't want to be the kind of person that takes everything. Someone else will need it more than me. While I was walking, I saw a newspaper on the ground. It was from last Friday. The front page was about that strange cloud system. They still called it a storm back then. They didn't know what it was yet. The headline was just, "Weather scientists watching unusual pattern in the Gulf." If someone had told me that this headline was the last printed thing I'd see, I would have laughed. It's funny how the world can change faster than you can print a paper. I also saw a house with the door wide open. Inside, the table was set like someone had been about to eat when the power went out. Plates still on the table, food dried up and stuck to them, chairs pulled out. There was no one inside. It looked like they just got up and left in the middle of lunch. I didn't go in because I don't want to be in someone else's house, but I stood there for a while trying to imagine where they went. Maybe they packed a bag and headed north. Maybe they're sitting in another dark house right now, just like me, wondering if anyone else is still alive. The sky is darker today. The clouds keep moving like hands stirring water in a pot, but there's no sound. It feels like even the wind forgot how to be wind. When I look at the clouds for too long, I get dizzy, like my balance is off. Sometimes I have to hold on to something just so I don't fall over. I keep waiting for someone to explain what is happening. I used to think there would always be someone. Scientists, reporters, the people on TV who sit behind a desk and talk like they know everything. But all those voices are gone. It's just the ones like me now. People talking into the dark, hoping someone else hears. There are people I used to see every morning on my walk to the station. A man who sold coffee from a cart on the corner. A woman who always jogged past the old post office with her headphones on. I haven't seen either of them since Friday. The corner is empty now. The cart is gone. The streets are full of things that have no owners anymore. Sometimes when I walk, I hear things behind me. It might be someone else walking slow, or maybe it's just my own footsteps echoing. Once I turned around and there was nobody there, but I swear I heard breathing. That's what fear does to you. It makes you hear things that aren't there. I am trying to keep track of what still works and what doesn't. Radios work, but only the old ones. Cars don't. Phones don't. TVs don't. Some flashlights still do, but batteries drain fast. Anything that plugs into the wall is useless. Generators still work if you can find gas. Stoves work if they are gas-powered. Fireworks. Matches are gold now. I met a man yesterday who said there are places in the city where people are gathering. Old school gyms, churches, places with big rooms where they can sleep on the floor. He said some people are starting to trade things. A can of food for a bottle of water. A blanket for a pack of batteries. It's strange how fast we go back to trading like it's 100 years ago. The nights are getting hotter. I can't sleep much. I sit by the window and look out at the parking lot. There are no stars. The clouds cover everything. The only light I see sometimes is from little fires that people light to cook. If you're listening to me, I need you to do something for yourself today. Fill something with water. Anything. Even if you don't need it yet. Tomorrow you might. That is the one thing that is already running out faster than anything else. I don't know what's coming next. I wish I could tell you something good. But all I can say right now is this. You are not alone. I'm still here. I'm still talking. And I'm not giving up yet. I have been sitting here thinking about how quiet the city is. I know I keep saying it, but the longer it lasts, the stranger it feels. Every sound becomes something you notice. The tick of a can cooling down after I open it. The scrape of my shoe when I move it across the floor. Even my own breathing. Sometimes I wonder if this is what people in space feel like, floating and listening to themselves, because there is nothing else. Earlier today, I saw something that made my stomach twist. I was walking along 6th Street, close to the river. There is an overpass there where people used to camp sometimes. I saw a group of maybe 6 or 7 people standing in a circle. They were passing around a jug of water. It wasn't a fight. No one was shouting. They were just standing there, each taking a small drink and handing it to the next. When they were done, one of them closed the lid and put the jug in a backpack like it was made of gold. Nobody talked. They just went back to sitting under the bridge. I didn't go closer. I didn't want to take anything from them. That bridge used to have cars roaring overhead all day long. Now it just stands there like a piece of an old world nobody remembers. I walked past an apartment building with broken windows. Inside there was a smell that made me back away fast. It smelled like rotten food, like heat trapped in a closed room with something that died in it. I think people tried to stay in there after the power went out but couldn't handle it. Maybe they left. Maybe they didn't. I couldn't bring myself to go inside. I wish I had better news for anyone listening, but there is none. People are disappearing. They don't come back. There's a boy who used to hang around outside this station. I saw him 2 days in a row and then not again. He never said a word to me. Just sat on the steps, knees pulled up, looking at the clouds. And now he's gone. I have been thinking about Harold again, the weather guy on the bike. He said something about pressure building up underground. He said if it keeps twisting like this, we might see the ground move like water. I thought that sounded insane when he said it, but now I don't know. Yesterday, when I walked near the highway, I saw a stretch of road that looked like it had been bent. Not broken. Bent. Like a soft ribbon pressed down by a giant hand. You can't look at something like that and tell yourself everything is normal. The air has a smell now. It smells like dirt, and something sharp, like iron. Every time I breathe in, I feel it in the back of my throat. It leaves a taste, like pennies. I try to remember the sound of rain. I miss it. I miss hearing drops on the roof, on the window. This mist that comes in the mornings doesn't make a sound. It just leaves streaks. Sometimes I put my hand on the glass and it's cold there, and for a second, I pretend it's rain. The thing I want to tell anyone who can hear me is that you can't count on help. Not anymore. If you're waiting for someone to come and fix this, stop waiting. Do what you can today. Find food. Find water. Find something to keep you warm when the heat finally goes and the cold comes in. If you think there's a safe place to stay, don't leave it. Don't waste what you have. There is no news from anywhere else. I tried turning the dial for an hour straight, but all I get is static. It feels like this storm has swallowed the world. I have a bad feeling tonight. It's like the air is heavier than it was yesterday. My head hurts. It's hard to think. I don't know if it's just me, or if something bigger is coming. There's a story I keep replaying in my head. When I was a kid, my dad used to take me fishing at a lake south of here. We'd sit in this little wooden boat with no motor, just paddles. The lake was always quiet, but sometimes, right before a storm, it would get so still that you could hear your own blood moving in your ears. That's what it feels like right now. That moment where the water is glass, and you know the wind is coming, but you don't know when. I don't know what will happen when the wind finally comes. Maybe it will be a relief. Maybe it will tear everything apart. Tonight, I am going to sleep here in the studio again. I push a table in front of the door. I don't know if it will stop anyone if they want to come in, but it makes me feel a little safer. I keep a flashlight in my lap when I close my eyes. I'll keep coming back on here as long as there is fuel. I know I say that a lot, but I need you to believe me when I say I'm not going anywhere yet. If I can still talk, I will keep talking. If you can hear me, take care of yourself. Take care of whoever is near you. Look out the window tonight and just remember, there is at least one other person out here still awake, still breathing, still talking. That's me. It feels like the walls in here are closing in. Maybe it is the heat. Maybe it is just in my head. I took a slow walk outside an hour ago because I couldn't stand sitting in this room anymore. I went out through the back so I wouldn't have to look at the empty parking lot right away. There is something about that empty lot that makes me feel like the world is hollowed out. When I stepped onto the street, the air hit me like I walked into a closed garage that has been sitting in the sun all day. My skin stuck to my shirt almost instantly. I walked east toward the downtown area. It is strange how the buildings look now. No lights in the windows, no signs glowing. They look like huge stones, dead, standing there for no reason. Some of them have broken glass scattered across the sidewalk from when the first panic hit and people smashed their way into stores. The glass crunches under your feet. That sound carries far because there is nothing else to drown it out. I saw a man dragging a shopping cart full of what looked like canned food. He had a blanket tied around his head like a hood, and he kept looking over his shoulder while he moved. Every few feet, he stopped to listen. He did not see me, and I didn't say anything to him. Nobody wants to be surprised these days. Past the tall buildings, I got to the edge of the river. The water level is lower than it was. You can see dark lines on the concrete banks where it used to be. It looks like someone pulled a plug out of the earth. There were dead fish stuck to the mud on the edges. I couldn't stand the smell, so I didn't stay there long. The clouds are stranger today. They hang lower than before. They are not gray anymore, not really. They have streaks in them, like bruises. Blue mixed with green, mixed with something darker. They move fast, but there is no wind down here on the ground. They twist over themselves like someone wringing out a wet cloth. While I was looking at them, I felt something under my feet. It wasn't much, just a soft shift, like the ground moved a little to the left and then back again. It was so light that if I wasn't standing still, I might have thought I imagined it, but I know I felt it. When I came back to the station, I had sweat dripping into my eyes. It burns worse than I remember. I poured a little bit of water over my head. Couldn't spare much. I wiped my face with my shirt and sat by the door for a while, listening. The city sounds like it is waiting. I have been thinking about what it used to sound like here. On a day like this, you would have heard cars on every block, someone cutting their lawn, music from a passing car, kids shouting from a park. I can't even remember when I last heard a kid laugh. It's hard not to think about what happens if this doesn't end. If this is just the way it is now. I know some people already believe that. I can see it in their faces when they come by here. They don't ask for news anymore. They just want to see another person. They stand there for a while, looking at me, and then they leave again, like that was enough. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep trying to tell people to be careful, or if I'm supposed to tell them to hold on to hope. I am trying to do both. Sometimes I think maybe someone out there is picking up this signal on a little radio in their kitchen and hearing a voice they didn't expect to hear, and maybe for a minute they feel less alone. I found an old notebook in one of the desks here. I started writing down the things I see because I am afraid I'll forget them. One of the things I wrote yesterday was that the pigeons are gone. There used to be dozens of them in the alleys, on the wires, on rooftops. I haven't seen a single one since Saturday. The sky is empty. If you're listening to me now, I want to tell you what I'm going to do tonight. I am going to stay up and watch the clouds from the roof. If anything changes, I will come back down here and turn the generator on, no matter what time it is. I will talk into this microphone for as long as the gas lets me. You need to take care of yourself tonight. Try to eat something. Try to drink a little water even if it's hot. Try to stay where you are unless you have no choice. This is all I have for you for now. The air feels like it is building to something. Maybe tomorrow I'll know what. I am sitting here, and I keep thinking that today the air feels heavier than it has so far. I know I keep saying that, but this time, it's worse. It's like every breath takes work. The back of my neck is damp all the time, and even when I stop moving, I keep sweating. The walls of this room feel like they are holding the heat in. The fan I have tied up is only pushing warm air around, like breathing through a blanket. I stayed awake most of the night. I sat on the roof and watched the sky. At first, it was just the same slow spinning of clouds. Then around 3 a.m, I saw flashes inside them. No thunder, no lightning strike, just flashes, like someone was turning a huge light on and off behind them. It made my stomach turn. The color was wrong, not white, but kind of yellow and green mixed together. When it flashed, the whole city lit up for just a second, and I could see every empty street, every car stopped like toys that someone forgot. There was a sound with the flashes, but it didn't come at the same time like thunder does. It came a few seconds after. It was low and deep. It didn't come from above. It came from the ground. It made the roof shake under me. I sat there holding the edge of the building with both hands until the sound faded. Then I waited for another flash. It didn't come. The clouds just kept moving. Down on the streets, there were lights in a few windows. I think some people found candles or batteries. I could see little orange dots here and there, like fireflies trapped inside houses. It made me feel strange to see them. For a second, it looked like a city again. I keep telling myself that I'm not scared, but that's a lie. Every night I wake up sweating even when I don't move. I dream about the sky falling. I dream about hearing people screaming far away, but not being able to see them. I know this sounds strange, but sometimes it feels like I can hear the ground breathing. When I put my ear on the floor here in the station, I hear this faint rumble. It comes and goes. It's not a steady sound, it just happens and then stops, like something rolling far away under my feet. This morning when I walked a few blocks, I noticed more cracks in the pavement. They're thin now, but they weren't there before. Some run in straight lines for whole blocks, like someone used a knife to slice the concrete. I saw a man near the corner store. He had a broom, and he was sweeping the sidewalk. There's nothing left to sweep, but he was doing it like it was a normal day. He didn't look at me when I walked past. Maybe that's what keeps him going, pretending it's still normal. I found a newspaper box, and inside there were still a few copies. I took one and carried it back here. It was damp from the mist, but I spread it out on the floor to dry. It's strange how something so simple can feel like treasure now. I sat on the floor and read the whole thing, even though most of it is useless now. I've been thinking about my family more and more. I keep imagining them sitting in their house with the curtains pulled tight, waiting like I'm waiting. I don't know if they can hear me. I say their names into the microphone sometimes when I think no one is listening. There's no word from anywhere else, no voice on the radio, nothing. I wonder if there are people out there in other cities doing the same thing I am, sitting in a room talking into the air, because it's all they can do. I think the city is starting to change in ways you can't see at first. The air smells different every day. The colors look different too. The mornings don't look like mornings anymore. There's a gray that sits on everything. If you are listening, I want to tell you something simple. Don't let yourself sit in silence all day. Talk to someone if you can. If you can't, talk out loud to yourself. Say your own name. Say what day it is. It keeps your head from getting stuck in the dark. I am going to try to get some rest before tonight. I don't know what the next few days are going to bring. It feels like something is coming closer. I'll be back on here as soon as I can. I'll keep talking until I can't. I went out again this morning, earlier than usual, before the sun had really burned through the low clouds. It felt cooler for a while, but even in that cooler air, the heaviness is still there. It's like the air has weight now, like you have to push against it to move. My legs feel tired all the time, even when I haven't walked far. I decided to head farther than I usually go. I wanted to see what it looks like past the old bus station. It's a part of the city I haven't been to since all this started, because there's no reason to go there. When I got there, I saw something I didn't expect. There were dogs, a whole pack of them, maybe 8 or 9. They were standing in the middle of the street, not moving, all facing the same direction, all looking up at the sky. Not one of them barked. I stood there for a long time watching them, and they didn't even glance at me. It was like I didn't exist. After a while, they just turned around, all at the same time, and ran off down the street, silent. It scared me more than anything else I've seen so far. I don't know what they saw. I don't know what they heard. I don't know if animals know something before we do. Near the station, there's an alley with dumpsters that used to always be full. Now they're almost empty. People have taken whatever they can find in them. I saw someone digging around in there today. A woman, maybe in her 50s. She pulled out a plastic bag with something in it. I couldn't see what. And she just hugged it to her chest like it was the best thing she'd ever found. I thought about saying something to her, but what could I say? The streets are starting to feel different. I see more people walking now, but they don't talk. They just move with their heads down. Some of them carry bags, some push carts, some just have nothing at all. I passed a house where someone had written a message on the wall with paint. It said, "No more water here." The letters were big and uneven. I stopped by a gas station to check if there was anything left. The doors were wide open, and there was trash everywhere. Cans, bottles, paper. It smelled like old gasoline inside. There was nothing left worth taking. On my way back, I thought I heard music. It was so faint that I thought I was imagining it. It sounded like a guitar, but slow and broken, like someone who hasn't played in a long time. I followed the sound for a while, but it disappeared. Maybe it was just the wind, or maybe someone shut a door. The clouds have been moving faster all day. They roll over themselves like boiling water. Every so often there's a flicker inside them, the same green-yellow light. It's been happening more often now, and every time it does, I wait for that deep sound from the ground. I walked past a big crack in the road near the river. It's wider than the one I saw before. I crouched down to look at it, and I swear I could feel warm air coming out of it. It smelled strange, like dirt mixed with metal. I didn't stay there long. The city is getting quieter in a different way now. It's not just the lack of engines or machines. It's like people are losing the strength to talk. Even the few who pass me barely make a sound. I don't know what keeps me going back out there every morning. Maybe I want to see what's changing so I can tell you about it. Maybe I just need to keep moving so I don't feel like I'm stuck waiting for something I can't see. I don't think I've said this yet, but my hands shake sometimes now. I don't notice until I try to write something down and the letters come out uneven. I don't know if it's from fear, or from not eating enough, or both. I came back here with a little bit of water I scooped out of a rain barrel I found in someone's yard. It was almost empty, but even that little bit feels like a win today. If you're listening right now, I want to tell you something simple. If you're walking around out there, look for barrels, tubs, buckets, anything that can hold water. Even if there's just a little bit left at the bottom, take it. Bring something to scoop with. It's the one thing we can't last long without. I keep talking about water because I think about it all day. Food can wait. Water can't. I don't know what tonight is going to be like. The air feels like it's holding something heavy above us. I'll be here again if I can. I walked farther today than I've gone since this all started. I wanted to see what it looks like closer to the edge of the city, so I packed one bottle of the boiled water and a can of beans and just started walking west. The farther I got from downtown, the stranger everything felt. It's not emptier. There are still people out there. It's different. It's like everyone out there is looking at everyone else with this look in their eyes, waiting for someone to make the first move. I passed a row of houses that looked burned. It wasn't from the storm. You could tell someone set them on fire after. The walls were black, the windows gone. The air around them still smelled like smoke, even though the fires have been out for a while. I don't know what happened there. Maybe someone was trying to get people out. Maybe it was just anger. A little farther out, I saw a group of people sitting in a circle in the middle of the road. They weren't talking. They just sat there, knees pulled up, looking at the ground. I slowed down as I came closer. None of them looked up at me. I don't know what they were waiting for. I walked around them without saying anything. There are more signs now, words painted on walls. Some of them say things like, "Stay out," or "No help here." One house had a sheet hanging out the window with the words, "We're alive," written in red paint. I found a burned-out car with its doors open. There were clothes scattered all around it. Small clothes, too. Children's shirts. I stood there for a long time looking at them. Then I kept walking because, if I had stayed there any longer, I think I would have lost it. The air feels different the farther you get from the center. It's warmer, like the ground itself is hot. I noticed it most when I stood on a bridge over the dry creek bed. The wind still doesn't move, but the heat rises from the ground in waves. While I was walking, I heard something that froze me in place. It was a scream. Not close, but not far either. It came from somewhere to the south. It lasted only a few seconds, and then it stopped. I stood there holding my breath, waiting to hear more. Nothing. Just silence again. It's strange how you can go your whole life thinking you know your city, every block, every street, and then one week changes everything. I walked streets today I've driven on 100 times, but now I didn't even recognize them. They're not the same without lights, without sound. They feel like a different place. At the edge of the city, near the big warehouses, there are tents. Not many. Just a handful. People have started making camps there. I could see figures moving between the tents carrying things. I didn't go closer. You can tell from the way people move when you're not welcome. There's a sound I keep hearing now when I walk. It's not loud, but it's constant. It's like a deep groan coming from the ground. Sometimes it fades. Sometimes it gets a little louder. It feels like the city itself is making the noise. I think Harold was right. The ground is changing. The cracks are everywhere now. I saw one today that ran from one side of the street to the other, wide enough that weeds are already poking through. The sky looks worse. The clouds have started to dip lower. You can see shapes in them sometimes, like columns trying to reach down. They move fast and then pull back up again. By the time I turned around to walk back, the heat had gotten so bad that my throat felt like it was closing. I had to stop in the shade of a bus stop and drink the last of the water I brought. It was warm and tasted like metal, but it saved me. On the way back, I saw a boy on a bike. He was pedaling fast, like he was trying to get away from something. He passed me without looking. The tires on his bike made this loud crunch over the broken glass, and it echoed down the empty street. I made it back to the station late in the day, tired, with my skin sticky from sweat. I sat on the steps for a long time before going in. My legs were shaking from the heat and from how far I walked. If you can hear me, I want to tell you something important. If you're thinking about leaving your place to look for something, think about it twice. If you don't need to, don't. The farther out you go, the less safe it feels. If you do go, carry water, and don't let anyone know how much you have. I don't know how long the gas for this generator will last. I can't find any more. When it's gone, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll just sit here and keep talking until it's completely out. Tonight, I'm going to sleep on the floor again, next to the door. I can feel the heat coming up from the concrete, even through the mat I use. It's like the whole building is sitting on something that's breathing underneath. I'll be back on here again as soon as I can. I want to tell you what I see. I want someone out there to know. This morning, I woke up to a smell that was so strong, I thought maybe the generator had leaked gas during the night. I opened the back door to check, but it wasn't gas. It was the air outside. It smelled like wet dirt and iron, like the whole city had been left to rust overnight. The mist had been heavy while I slept. It left streaks all over the parking lot, but these weren't normal streaks. They made patterns, lines that curled into each other like someone had dragged their fingers through mud. I stood there for a long time, just looking at them. Some of the lines made loops, like circles stacked on top of each other, and others stretched out like someone pulling string. It didn't make sense. When the sun came up, it burned the mist away, but the patterns stayed on the ground as if the mist had burned something into the pavement. I decided to walk again, even though my legs still ache from yesterday. I can't just sit here all day waiting. I went south this time, down toward the industrial part of the city. There was someone sitting on the curb 2 blocks away from the station. A man, thin, maybe in his 40s. He was holding his ankle, and when he saw me, he called out. His voice cracked like he hadn't had water in days. I went closer and saw that his foot was swollen. He said he fell while running from someone last night. I asked where he came from. He said he was trying to get to the gym where people are sleeping, but he didn't make it. I gave him a little bit of the boiled water I brought in a small jar. He drank it so fast that most of it spilled down his chin. He asked if I could help him walk, but I didn't know where to take him. The gym is far, and I can't carry him. I told him I would leave some water in an old crate near the corner where he sat. He nodded and didn't ask for more. He just leaned against the wall and closed his eyes. I walked on, but the whole time I kept thinking about him, about how many people there must be like him, stuck in places, waiting for someone to come. The streets in the south are worse. The buildings are lower, so you can see more of the sky, and that almost makes it worse. There are bigger cracks here, some wide enough that you have to step over them. I saw a streetlight lying on its side in the road. The pole looked bent, like someone had twisted it. Everywhere I go now, there are signs that people are desperate. I saw a door with words scratched into it with something sharp. Don't knock. We have nothing. In one of the open warehouses, there were piles of wood and cardboard where people had made beds. Nobody was there when I passed, but the air inside was thick with the smell of sweat. The sky is full of strange colors now. Not just green and gray, but purple streaks. They move fast, like someone is pulling long pieces of cloth across the sky. As I walked back, I noticed that the mist had come back. It rolls across the streets now, even during the day. It makes it hard to see far ahead. There was a moment on the way back when everything went completely silent, even more than usual. The kind of silence where it feels like the air has been sucked out of your chest. Then I felt the ground shift under me again. Not much. Just enough to make a sound like something deep below was rolling. I almost ran back to the station, but running makes noise. I didn't want to be noticed. When I got inside, I sat on the floor with my back against the wall and didn't move for a long time. I just listened. You can hear the faint hum of the generator, and underneath that, something else. I think I'm starting to lose track of how many days it's been since the world stopped. It feels like one long day now. I don't know how long I can keep this up. I'll keep talking as long as I can. If you're listening, remember what I keep saying. Water first. Always water first. If you see mist on the ground, watch where it gathers. It sometimes pools in cracks or low places. If you can catch it, you can drink it after boiling. I'm going to stay in tonight. I don't think I have it in me to go back out after what I saw today. I'll be here again, same time, same voice, as long as the fuel holds out. I didn't sleep much last night. The mist kept creeping up against the windows. I don't know if it was my eyes playing tricks on me, but it looked like it was moving with a purpose, like waves, like it wasn't just drifting but sliding along the ground in slow pulls. Sometimes it would press up against the glass, and for a second I thought it might come inside. It doesn't make sense to say that about mist, but I sat there staring at it for hours, and I swear that's how it looked. Around midnight, I heard people outside. Not close, but somewhere down the block. They weren't yelling. They weren't even talking loud. Just footsteps and the low sound of voices. I peeked out the window, and I saw shapes moving through the mist. There were a lot of them, at least 10, maybe more. They moved fast, all in the same direction, like they knew where they were going. I watched them until they disappeared into the gray. That's the first time I've seen a group that big. Up until now, it's been small clusters, 2 or 3 at most. Something about seeing that many people together in the mist made me nervous. I don't know what they were doing, but they weren't walking slow. They weren't wandering. They were going somewhere, and it wasn't good. When I finally lay down on the floor, the air was so warm that the concrete under me felt like a heated stone. I slept for a little while, but when I woke up, my shirt was stuck to me like I'd been lying in hot sand. The first thing I did after drinking some water was go to the roof. From up there you can see far if the mist lifts, and sometimes you get a glimpse of the city the way it used to be. Not today. Today the mist stayed low, clinging to every street. From above it looks like a sea that swallowed the roads. I stayed on the roof for an hour, watching. I could hear something from far away. It was faint, but it was steady. It sounded like metal being hit over and over again. I don't know if it was someone trying to fix something, or if it was just someone making noise. After a while, I went back down and walked out the back door, keeping low. The street was empty. I walked slow, careful with every step, because the mist makes it hard to see more than a block ahead. I went north this time. I wanted to see if there were more cracks there. I counted at least 9 just on the first 3 blocks. Some of them are wide enough now that you can see dirt underneath. And the dirt isn't like normal soil. It's darker, wet. In one place, a crack ran under a house. The whole porch was leaning toward it. It looked like the earth had shifted and was trying to pull the house down. I found a shopping cart on its side with cans spilling out onto the street. Someone must have been running and left it. Most of the cans were empty, but there was one still sealed. I picked it up and put it in my bag. It's beans. That'll be my dinner tonight. I didn't see many people on the way. Just one man sitting on the steps of a church. He had no shoes on, and his feet were dirty, covered in blisters. He didn't look up when I passed. The smell in the city is stronger now. It's a mix of rot and rust. You can taste it on your tongue. I got back to the station before noon. The mist hasn't lifted all day. It's thicker than yesterday. When I look at it out the window, I can see it sliding down the street like slow water. I keep thinking about that group I saw last night, where they were going. What happens when people stop being scared and start getting desperate? I think we're right there on that line now. If you can hear this, I want you to do something for yourself. If you're still in a house or an apartment, block off your doors at night. Pile furniture. Make it hard for anyone to get in without making a lot of noise. If you have to leave, do it in daylight. I'm starting to believe that night belongs to something else now. I'll talk again when I can. For now, stay quiet after dark. Watch the mist. It's not like before. I waited as long as I could before turning on the generator tonight. I didn't want to make any noise. The mist outside is even thicker than it was yesterday. It looks like it's crawling over itself, piling into the corners of the streets, like water filling up holes. I was standing at the window earlier, and I realized I could barely see across to the building on the other side. It's like a wall now. About an hour ago, I heard them again. The same sound of footsteps and that low talking. I killed the light and went to the corner window. Slow. Careful. It was a group. Maybe 15 this time. They came out of the mist so suddenly it made my heart slam in my chest. They had bags slung across their shoulders and sticks in their hands. One of them had a metal pipe. They didn't run this time. They walked slow, like they knew there was nothing out here to stop them. They stopped right at the intersection, not 50 feet from where I was. I crouched low behind the wall and watched them through the crack. The mist curled around their legs, and for a moment they just stood there. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but they were looking at the buildings, looking for something. Then one of them pointed toward a store at the corner. They went straight for it. The door was already hanging open, but they went in like they were breaking in anyway. I heard glass breaking and the sound of cans rolling across the floor. Then I heard a scream. It wasn't from them. It came from inside the store. Someone must have been hiding there. They dragged a person out. It looked like a man, thin, pale. They pulled him out by the arm and he was trying to fight, but he was too weak. They knocked him down and took everything he had, a bag, a bottle of water, even his shoes. When they were done, they just walked away, leaving him there on the ground. I waited until the sound of their feet faded before I moved. I wanted to go out there and help him, but I didn't. I just watched. A few minutes later, he got up, limping, holding his arm like it was broken, and disappeared into the mist. I have seen a lot these past days, but that is the first time I've seen people take from someone else like that. That's the line we've crossed now. It's no longer just about surviving. People are starting to prey on each other. After they left, I sat on the floor, shaking. My shirt was sticking to my back, but I was cold. That kind of cold that comes from the inside. I don't know how long this place is going to be safe. If they come looking here, I don't have anything to stop them. The mist stayed thick all night. It presses against the windows now like a living thing. When I hold my flashlight close to the glass, the beam disappears into it, like the light can't cut through. Sometimes I think I can hear whispering in it. Maybe it's just the way sound travels now, bouncing around between buildings. I tried to get some sleep on the floor, but every sound made me jump. A can rolling across the street, something metal falling in the distance. Once, the ground shivered under me just a little. It's like the earth itself is restless. I am thinking about leaving this place. Not far, but maybe to one of the taller buildings nearby, somewhere I can lock myself in high up. If I do, I'll still try to come back here to talk. I don't want to leave this radio silent. If you are listening, the most important thing you can do now is stay out of sight. Do not let people see what you have. If they think you have something they need, they will take it. There are still good people out here. I've seen them share water, share food. But the groups that come out at night are not looking to share. They are looking to take. I'll stay here one more night and see if things stay quiet. If not, I'll move before tomorrow. This mist isn't normal. It's not just weather anymore. It feels like something else. I'll talk to you again if I can. If you're hearing me now, hold on. Keep your lights low at night. I waited for daylight before making my move. I packed everything I could carry, which isn't much. 1 bottle of boiled water, 2 cans of food, my notebook, and this little radio setup I used to talk to you. I left behind almost everything else. There's no point in carrying weight you can't eat or drink. I put the generator on a cart and strapped it with rope. It rattled with every step. The streets looked different this morning. The mist was lower, hugging the ground but leaving the tops of buildings clear. It made the city look like islands floating in a gray sea. I walked slow, careful. Every time I reached an intersection, I stopped and listened. I decided to head toward a building about 6 blocks away. It's one of the taller office buildings, and I figured if I can get up high, I might be able to see what's coming before it gets to me. The first few blocks were quiet. A few shapes moving in the distance, but they didn't notice me. When I got to the 3rd block, I passed a small store. The door was open, so I stepped in. The air inside was thick and warm, smelled like old bread. Most of the shelves were empty, but I found a few jars, pickles, peanut butter. I stuffed them into my bag as fast as I could. I could hear footsteps outside, and froze. After a while, they passed by without stopping. The closer I got to the tall building, the more the mist started to move. I swear it wasn't the wind, because the air around me was still. The mist rolled across the street and gathered in the gaps, thickening like water poured into cracks. It forced me to slow down. By the time I reached the front door of the building, my shirt was sticking to my back, and my hands were slick with sweat. The door was locked, but there was a broken window next to it. I pushed the cart through first, then climbed in after it. Inside it was cool and silent. Dust floated in the air. I dragged the generator across the lobby and found the stairwell. It smelled like mold in there, and it was dark except for a little light coming through the cracks in the walls. I started up the stairs, pulling the cart one step at a time. It felt like hours before I made it to the 6th floor. I found an office with a door that still locks. There are no windows in the door, so I figured it would be safer. I set up the radio on a desk and sat there for a long time, just breathing. When I looked out of the window on that floor, I could see everything. The mist covered the streets below, hiding the cars and the trash. It looked calm from up here, but I know it's not. I watched a shape move through it. A single person this time, walking slow, stopping every few feet like they weren't sure where they were going. Then they disappeared behind a corner. About an hour later, the mist did something I have never seen before. It pulled back, like someone was dragging a blanket across the streets, and for a few seconds, I could see everything below me. Every car, every broken window, the cracks in the pavement. And then, just as fast, it rolled back in and swallowed everything again. I don't know what that means. I don't know if something caused it, or if it just happens on its own now. I set up here for now. I'm still close enough that I can make it back to the station if I have to, but I think it's safer here. I can block the door with desks, and there are fewer ways in. I keep thinking about how many people are still alive out there, how many are hiding in places like this, trying to wait out something none of us understand. If you can hear me, I want you to do something today. If you can, find a place that's higher than the street, somewhere you can see what's coming. Keep your supplies close to you, and if you can lock yourself in, do it. I don't know how long I can keep moving like this. Every time I go out, the city feels a little less like the city I know. I'll stay here tonight. If it's safe, I'll try to talk again in a few hours when the sun goes down. The office floor I picked feels empty, but safer than the station. I moved 2 desks against the door, shoved a metal filing cabinet sideways so it blocks most of the gap. There's no sound except the slow hum of my own breathing and the occasional groan of the building itself. These buildings are never silent. Even with everything dead outside, the walls make noises when the heat pushes against them. I sat on the floor with my back against the window for most of the afternoon. It's strange to be this high and look down at streets that used to be full of life. It feels like staring at a frozen picture. The cars are still there, but they look like toys now. From here you can see the mist pour around them, curling in slow spirals. Late in the day, as the light started to fade, the mist began moving again, more deliberately than I've ever seen. It slid down certain streets faster than others, almost like it was looking for something. I don't know how else to say it. You could watch it and see the difference. It wasn't just drifting. At one point, I saw someone running below. Just one person, running full speed, clutching something against their chest. The mist moved behind them, faster than before. It rolled over the ground and wrapped around their legs. They stumbled, but didn't fall. They made it to a doorway and slammed it shut behind them. The mist piled up against the door like waves. I couldn't hear anything from up here, but I watched it. After a few minutes, the mist rolled away again, slow, like it gave up. I stayed at the window for hours. The city looks like it's holding its breath when the light goes. After dark, I saw two groups approach each other from different sides of an intersection. I counted 7 people in one group and 5 in the other. They stopped when they saw each other. From above, they looked like statues, standing there with the mist around their legs. No one moved for a long time. Then one of them lifted a stick and pointed it toward the smaller group. The smaller group backed away at first, but one of them threw something. A bottle, I think. It shattered on the pavement. That was all it took. Both groups rushed at each other. From up here it was silent, but I could see the way their arms moved, the way they grabbed each other, the way one person went down and didn't get back up. It didn't last long. The bigger group left with bags over their shoulders. The smaller group scattered, disappearing into the mist in different directions. After that, the street was empty again. The person who fell stayed on the ground. I don't know if they got up later. Watching it made me feel sick. It's different seeing it happen from above, knowing you can't do anything to stop it. The mist stayed thick all night. It pressed against the glass of the windows like it wanted to get in. I turned off my flashlight and sat in the dark, waiting. I haven't heard any more footsteps near the building yet, but I know they're out there. The air in here is hot, but still better than down on the street. It's hard to sleep, so I just sit with my back against the wall and listen. Sometimes, if I press my ear to the floor, I can hear that same low rumble from below, like something big is shifting deep under the city. I'm going to keep this place as long as I can. It's safer up here, but it feels lonely. At least at the station I could hear people passing sometimes. Up here it's just me and the mist below. If you can hear me, keep yourself high off the ground if you can. Lock your doors. Don't move after dark. I'll talk again when I can. I'm going to stay awake and watch the streets tonight. I've been staring out the window since last night. Sleep isn't coming to me anymore. My eyes feel like sand, but when I close them all, I can see as the mist moving below, those groups of people, the shapes that come and go without making a sound. Not long after midnight, something happened that I have never seen before. A light appeared in the distance, not like a candle or a fire. This was white, bright, sharp. It cut through the mist like a knife. There were 3 of them, moving slowly, side by side, sweeping down the street. They were high up, too bright to be flashlights. I think someone rigged car batteries, or maybe something stronger, because the beams held steady. The mist reacted to those lights. It pulled back from them. I watched it with my own eyes. Every time the beams hit the ground, the mist shrank away, rolling back like it didn't want to be near them. And behind those lights were people. A group, maybe 8 or 9, pushing forward as the lights cleared the way. I don't know where they were going, but they were organized. Not like the scattered groups I've been seeing. They moved like they had a plan. For the first time in days, I felt a strange feeling. Like maybe someone out there is figuring out how to fight this. I stayed at the window until they were gone, and the mist filled the streets again. It was slow at first, then thicker than before, as if it was angry. Around 3 in the morning, when the city was still and silent again, I heard a crackle from the radio. It wasn't much, just a faint noise at first, but it was enough to make my heart start pounding. I turned every knob I could, slow, careful. Then I heard it again. A voice. It was weak, broken up, full of static, but it was a voice. I couldn't make out much, just a few words. South side, moving, watch. Then nothing. The static swallowed it whole. I tried for an hour to find it again, but there was nothing. Just dead noise. It means there's someone out there still broadcasting. Somewhere close enough for me to hear even a little. That's the first time since all of this started that I've heard another voice. When the sun came up, I climbed to the roof to see if the mist had cleared. It hadn't. It just sat there, thick, rolling slow. But I could see a little farther in the daylight. The city is changing. It's not just empty now. It looks like it's sinking. Roads that used to be flat now dip in the middle, like the ground underneath is soft. Some of the smaller buildings are tilted, not much, but enough that you can see it if you stare. I don't know if that voice on the radio came from someone close or someone far away. It doesn't matter. It means I'm not the only one still trying. I spent most of today trying to make a map in my notebook. I drew the streets I can see from here, marked where I saw the groups, marked where the lights came from. If I can figure out where they're going, maybe I can get close enough one day to hear them. I've been thinking about those lights all day. I keep picturing how the mist curled away from them. Maybe that's the first real sign of something we can do. For now, I'm staying here another night. It's safer than the station, and if that group comes back with the lights, I'll be able to see them from up here. If you're listening to me right now, remember this. The mist pulls back from strong light. If you have anything, flashlights, candles, anything that can shine bright, use it when you have no other choice. It might be the only thing that makes it hesitate. I'll keep trying to tune that voice again. Maybe next time I'll catch more than a few broken words. I'll talk again soon. I stayed at the desk most of the night with the radio on, turning the dial over and over again, hoping that voice would come back. It never did. The static fills the room now like a blanket. Sometimes I catch myself staring at the knobs without even hearing it anymore. My hands just moving because I don't know what else to do. After the sun went down, the mist started acting different again. It didn't just sit there. It moved fast, sliding down certain streets like it was looking for something. From this window, I could see it splitting. One thick roll pushing one way, another going the opposite. It reminded me of ants spreading out when you drop food on the ground. Around midnight, I saw someone below. They were running, same as the night before, trying to stay ahead of the mist. They had a flashlight, but it was weak. The beam barely made a dent in the gray. The mist rolled right over their feet. I couldn't see their face. They darted into a doorway, but this time the mist didn't stop. It pushed in through the door behind them like water. I don't know what happened after that. I just know I didn't see them come back out. It's hard to watch this from up here and not move, not try to help. But I know if I go out there, I'll disappear the same way. I tried something new on the radio. I pressed down on the button and I spoke. I didn't know what to say, so I just said my name. This is James Stone. I'm in Oklahoma City. If you can hear me, say something. I said it 5 times, and then I let go. Nothing came back, just that thin crackle. I sat there for an hour, waiting. Still nothing. It feels strange to talk to a voice you can't hear. You don't know if you're sending words into nothing or if someone is sitting out there with a radio, listening and not sure if they should answer. The rest of the night was slow. The mist stayed thick, and the lights never came back. When daylight came, I saw what the mist had done. Down one of the side streets, the cracks in the pavement had grown bigger overnight. I can see it even from up here. There's a patch of ground that's sagging, like something underneath has been scooped out. I think it's getting worse faster now. I made another map in my notebook. I marked where I saw the mist moving like it was searching. It always seems to move around the same places, like there's something there that draws it in. I've been thinking about that voice again. If they're still alive, if they still have power, if they heard me calling last night, I'll try again tonight. Maybe I'll keep trying every night until something answers. The air feels heavy today, heavier than it was yesterday. I can taste it when I breathe in, like wet metal. My head aches all the time now. I'm still going to keep talking on here. As long as this generator runs, I'll keep going. If you're listening, keep doing the same. Even if it feels like you're talking into nothing, do it anyway. I don't know how much longer this can go on before the city falls apart completely, but I know one thing. I'm not ready to stop yet. I didn't think I'd hear anything back. All day yesterday, I told myself I'd try again at night, but I didn't expect it to work. Around 11, when the city was quiet enough that you could hear the faint creaks of the walls around me, I pressed the button and I said it again. My name, this city. A simple question. Can anyone hear me? I let go and waited. At first there was nothing. Just that dry hiss that has been my only company for days. Then, so faint I almost missed it, there was a voice. It was broken, full of static, cutting in and out like someone talking from underwater. Here, moving, stay, hi. I froze. My hand was sweating on the button. I said my name again, asked them to repeat. The sound came back. A little louder this time, but still shredded. Stay. Hi. Not safe. South. And then it was gone. I sat there staring at the radio like it might explain itself. My throat was dry, my hands shaking. I waited a full hour, asking over and over, but there was nothing more. I don't know if they're close or far. I don't even know if they meant Oklahoma City when they said south, but it means I'm not the only one out here talking. I barely slept after that. Every sound outside made me jump. The mist was restless all night. Around 2 a.m, I heard something different. It started as a low hum, almost like the rumble from the ground I keep hearing, but it got louder, closer. I looked out the window and the mist was moving fast, faster than I've ever seen. It wasn't spreading out like usual. It was pulling in. Street after street, the mist rushed toward one spot, dragging low like smoke pulled by a fan. In less than a minute, the streets that had been hidden were bare. The cars and trash and cracks in the road were all visible in the pale moonlight, all of it pulling toward the middle of downtown. Then, in the center of the city, it started to rise. It wasn't a clean column. It was wild, twisting, like someone wringing out a cloth. It reached up maybe 4, 5 stories before collapsing back into itself. When it fell, the sound came, that deep rolling sound from the ground, but this time it was louder, like thunder coming from inside the earth. I stayed pressed against the glass until it was over. When the mist settled again, It spread back out slow, like it always does, as if nothing had happened. I don't know what caused it. I don't know if it's the storm or something else. But I can't shake the feeling that the city isn't just falling apart. It's being changed. By the time the sun came up, the streets looked different. The cracks are longer. One whole block near the edge of downtown looks like it's sagging. From up here, I can see cars tilted sideways where the ground isn't level anymore. I've been thinking about what that voice said all day. Stay high. It makes sense now. The streets don't feel safe anymore. Not from the people, and not from the mist. I'm going to stay here as long as I can. The only thing that makes sense is to keep away from the ground. I'll try the radio again tonight. If they answer, maybe I'll finally know where they are. For now, if you're hearing this, please, if you can find a way, stay off the streets. Find a building. Lock yourself in. The city isn't safe down there anymore. I stayed at the radio most of last night, hand on the button, waiting. Every hour I tried again. Same words. My name. My city. Asking if anyone could hear me. Most of the time there was nothing but static, the same dead hiss. But then, sometime past midnight, when the whole city below was still, the voice came back. This time it was clearer. Not clear like normal, but I could make out more of what they said. A man's voice. Older, maybe. It broke up between every few words. Stone. We hear you. Stay high. We are north. River. Can't. Safe. Don't move. Group. Dangerous. It faded again, swallowed by the static before I could say anything. I hit the button fast, said my name again, said I understood, said I'd stay high. Nothing came back. So now I know two things. There's someone else out there, maybe even more than one. And they're north of here, somewhere near the river. It's not much, but it's the first real sign of direction I've had in days. I didn't sleep after that. I couldn't. I sat at the window and looked out at the streets. The mist low and heavy, covering the sidewalks like a slow tide. Every so often, a shape moved through it. Someone out there trying to survive the night. Then, just before dawn, I saw something below that made me grip the window ledge so hard my hands hurt. Two groups met at an intersection right below this building. At first, I thought it would be like the standoff I saw a few nights ago, tense but without words. But this one didn't wait. One of them charged almost immediately. There must have been at least 10 on each side. It was fast. Sticks, pipes, fists, no guns. Guns would have been loud. It was quiet from up here. No sound but the dull motion of bodies hitting bodies. The mist moved around them while they fought, curling like it wanted to watch. I could see them pulling at each other's bags, grabbing whatever they could. One man fell and didn't get back up. Another tried to crawl away and was dragged back in. I kept waiting for someone to run, but they didn't. Not for a long time. By the time it was over, half of them were gone. The ones still standing took everything they could carry and left the rest where they fell. When it was done, the street was empty again. Just the mist creeping back over the blood and the broken bags. From up here, the whole thing looked like it happened in slow motion. But I know it wasn't. It just feels slow because there's nothing else moving, nothing else happening, except that. I sat there a long time, watching the mist swallow the intersection, until you couldn't tell anything had happened. I keep thinking about that voice, about what he said. Don't move. It's good advice. If I'd been down there, if I'd been on that street, I wouldn't be here now. I've been going through my supplies all morning. There's not much left. Enough water for 2 more days if I stretch it. Enough food for maybe 3. I need to figure out how to get more without getting caught down there. For now, I'm not going anywhere. If you're listening to me, remember that. When the mist is thick, when the sun goes down, do not move. Whatever is left of the world out there, it belongs to something else at night. I'll try the radio again tonight. Maybe that voice will come back. Maybe I'll hear more. I've been counting everything I have left. 1 bottle of boiled water and a half, 3 cans, the jar of pickles I found 2 days ago, and 1 pack of crackers. I've been stretching it out, but the way things are going, it won't last much longer. The worst part is the water. The heat in here dries out your mouth so fast. Even when I don't move, I can feel my lips crack. I keep telling myself to take just 1 more sip and then wait an hour before the next one. The mist hasn't lifted all day. It's sitting against the sides of the building now. When I press my ear to the wall, I swear I can hear it. Not a sound like wind, not a normal sound. It's softer, slower, like something dragging itself against the glass. I moved a desk against the crack at the bottom of the door because I kept thinking I saw it slipping through. Maybe it's just my head playing tricks on me, but I'm not taking chances. I walked through the empty offices this morning, the ones with glass walls that look down into the mist. Desks tipped over, chairs lying on their sides, papers everywhere. It looks like people ran out of here fast. Some of the papers are stuck to the floor with old water stains. I picked one up just to look at something that wasn't gray. It was a printed memo, a meeting notice for a date that doesn't matter anymore. I stood by the glass on the far side of the building for a while, watching. I saw one figure down there, moving slow, dragging something behind them. They didn't even try to hurry. After a while, they disappeared between 2 buildings, and the mist closed behind them like a curtain. By the time the sun started to go down, I went back to the radio. I pressed the button again. "This is James Stone, Oklahoma City. I heard you last night. If you can hear me, talk to me." Static. I waited. 5 minutes, 10. Then a voice again. "Stone. Listen. Time. City not safe. Leave soon. Roads. Worse. 3 days." I said, "I hear you. Where? Tell me where to go. Tell me where you are." There was nothing for a moment. Then, north. River. Bridge. Light. The static came back, thicker than before. I sat there with the button pressed, saying over and over, "Repeat. Say it again." I'm listening. But there was nothing. So now I know I have 3 days. Maybe less. That's all he said. 3 days. I don't know what happens after that. But if I stay here, I'm guessing I find out. I don't know if I can make it out of the city. The streets are bad now, worse than they were even a few days ago. But I also know that staying here means running out of water soon, running out of food soon. I've been looking at the map I drew in my notebook. The river is far, but if I leave early in the morning and move slow, maybe I can get there. I don't know what I'll find when I get there, but it's better than waiting here to be swallowed. The mist looks worse tonight. It isn't drifting anymore. It's pushing up against the sides of buildings, climbing up, curling like fingers. I don't think it will be long before it finds its way in. If you're listening to this, if you can move, start thinking about where you'd go. Don't wait too long. I'll keep talking as long as I can. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to move closer to the north side, 1 block at a time. 3 days. That's all he said. I've spent the whole morning staring at the map I drew, thinking about every street between here and the river. The river used to be a place I went without even thinking. Just a turn, a few lights, 5 minutes in a car. Now, walking it means I'm risking everything I've got left. I've been going through the things I'll carry. The pack is small, too small. 1.5 bottles of water, 2 cans, the jar of pickles, the pack of crackers, the radio and a few batteries, my notebook with the map drawn inside, a lighter. That's all. The generator has to stay. It's too heavy. That hurts to say because it's the one thing keeping this voice alive. But if I try to drag it, I won't make it. I'll leave tomorrow at first light. If I try it at night, the mist will eat me alive. I keep telling myself that if I move steady, if I don't stop too long, I'll make it to the river before it gets too dark. I'm choosing a route that stays close to the taller buildings as long as possible. If something happens, at least I'll have walls to run toward. The open streets are too dangerous. I stepped out of the office building today just to see what it feels like on the ground again. The heat hits different down there. It wraps around you. The mist rolls around your feet and clings to your legs. I walked 1 block and turned back because the stillness scared me more than anything else. Every sound I made bounced off the buildings. I saw marks on the street today, not cracks. Marks like something sharp was dragged across the asphalt. Long, thin lines that run from one side of the road to the other. There are fewer birds now. I don't hear anything with wings anymore. The only thing I saw was a single crow sitting on a power line that's been dead since the first day. It flew off when it saw me, and I didn't see where it went. This afternoon I sat on the floor and tuned the radio 1 more time. Static, static, static. Then, faint again, the same voice. Leave. Early. Stay off open. Watch. Light. I tried to answer, but the static drowned everything out. I'm scared, but staying here isn't safe anymore. Last night the mist climbed higher. I could see it from the window, pressing itself up against the lower floors like something looking for a way inside. I packed everything into the bag. It's sitting next to me right now. My shoulder's already hurt thinking about carrying it, but at least I know I've got it ready. I'm going to try to sleep tonight, even a little. Every time I close my eyes, I see that funnel of mist from the other night, twisting up into the sky and collapsing back down. I hear the sound from under the ground. It feels like the city isn't built on land anymore, but on something alive. Tomorrow, I'll take the first step north. If you're listening to me, I'll try to come on again after I've moved. I don't know where I'll be when you hear this next. The plan is simple. North. Stay high when I can. Watch the mist. Stay out of sight. If the voice on the radio was telling the truth, the river is the only place left to go. I left just after first light. It wasn't much of a sunrise. The sky was pale, no color, no warmth in it. Just a flat, dim glow that made the streets look like they were drawn with charcoal. I stood at the door for a long time with the pack on my shoulders, my hand on the handle, waiting for the sound of footsteps or voices. Nothing. Only that deep, strange quiet. The first breath I took outside was thick. The mist clung to my legs like wet cloth. Every step felt like walking through something that wanted to pull me back. The first block north was clear, Empty cars, glass everywhere, and a smell that hit hard. Metal mixed with the sweet rot of something left out too long. I kept my head down, moving fast, my hands tight on the straps of the pack. Halfway up the second block, I stopped. There was a house with the door wide open. The mist pooled in the entryway like water in a sink. I stepped to the side and looked in. Inside it was dark, but on the floor I saw empty cans, a mattress, and writing on the wall in what looked like black paint. Too late. I didn't stay. I walked fast past it, feeling the mist swirl around my ankles as if something inside the house was breathing out into the street. I kept to the narrow streets. They feel safer, though I don't know if that's true. I try not to walk in the middle anymore. I stay close to the walls where the shadows are thicker. By the time I hit the third block, I could hear something. Not close, just faint. A steady tapping sound. I stopped and crouched, listening. Tap, tap, tap. It went on for a few seconds and then stopped. I waited. It didn't come back. Farther up, I saw a man across the street. He was sitting against a wall with his head tilted back, his arms hanging at his sides. I watched him for a while, waiting to see if he moved. He didn't. I called out once, soft. No answer. I kept walking. The fourth block had more cars, piled close like someone tried to get out all at once. They're dead now, lined up at odd angles with doors open. I had to squeeze between them, the mist thickening in the narrow gaps. The smell there was worse, like wet rubber and burned plastic. On the fifth block, I saw movement. 2 figures ahead, walking fast, carrying bags. I stopped, waited. They didn't see me. They disappeared around a corner. I stayed there until I was sure they were gone. After that, I crossed an intersection that used to have a stoplight. The pole was bent almost in half, the light touching the ground. The cables that held it snapped and curled like dead snakes. I kept counting steps. 100 steps, then stop and listen. Another 100, then stop. That's how I moved all morning. I saw more cracks today, wider than before. One of them stretched across the entire street. I had to climb over a tilted slab of road where the ground sank underneath. When I crouched down, I could feel heat rising out of it. By the time I reached the 6th block, my throat was dry. I took 1 sip from my bottle. Just 1. Enough to wet my mouth. I passed another building with a message scratched into the front with something sharp. Don't stay. Now I'm sitting here in the shadow of a small office building, writing this in my notebook before I try to move again. The mist hasn't lifted, but it's thinner here. I can see farther ahead. I'll keep heading north. Every step takes me closer to the river, closer to where that voice said there's still a chance. If you're listening, I'll keep talking when I can. Every block feels longer than the last, but I'm still moving. I stayed under that office overhang longer than I meant to. My legs were sore, and my back was wet from the pack sticking to it. But it wasn't just the weight. It was the sound. Somewhere ahead, not far, there was this low roar, distant but growing. Not thunder, not wind. It sounded like mist, but not the quiet kind that floats. This sounded like movement. Massachusetts. I stayed low, pressed against the wall, peering around the corner. I didn't see anyone. Just that rolling gray fog bending along the street like smoke dragged by an invisible hand. It wasn't moving randomly. It was pushing in one direction, toward something. I knew I couldn't cross that next block. Not while the mist was sweeping like that. So I waited. My heart was racing the entire time. I didn't blink for minutes at a time, just stared at that flow, wondering if it was going to turn my way. That's when I saw him. A face, just for a second, across the street, high in the window of an old apartment building. He was watching me. He didn't move, just stood there behind the glass, half his face in shadow. He didn't wave. He didn't signal. He just looked down at me. I held my hand up, slow, a kind of greeting. He didn't respond. He stepped back into the darkness, and I never saw him again. I don't know who he was. Maybe he's like me, trying to stay above the street. Maybe he's been in there for days, weeks. Maybe he thought I was a threat. After that, the mist started to ease. It thinned out slowly, losing that rushing sound. It just kind of gave up, rolled back into doorways and gutters like it hadn't just taken over the street. I took my chance. I moved across the block, stepping over broken mailboxes, the crushed front end of a city bus. The doors of the bus were open. I looked inside, but it was empty. No bags, no people. Just 2 seats soaked from where the mist had pooled and dried. Past the bus, I found a car with the door cracked open and a half-full bottle of water inside. I took it. The cap had been broken, but it smelled okay. I poured it into my bottle through a piece of cloth, just in case. The next street had caved in completely. What used to be a 4-way intersection was now a pit. The asphalt collapsed inward like the ground beneath it had been scooped out. I walked to the edge and looked down. I couldn't see the bottom, just layers of broken concrete and shadows. I backtracked 2 blocks, moving faster now. The mist had pulled away, but I didn't trust it to stay gone. Every alley felt like a throat waiting to close. On the 8th block, I stopped again. This time, not because of fear, but because of what I saw. A building, some kind of warehouse, had a word painted across its wall in white, huge jagged letters. Listen. Below it, spray painted in red, the ground hears you. I don't know what that means. Maybe it was a warning. Maybe it was just madness. But I stood there for too long reading it over and over. Then the street groaned. I swear to you, the pavement beneath my feet made a sound, deep, drawn out, almost like a sigh. I ran. I didn't stop until I reached a narrow alley where the mist hadn't reached yet. There, I leaned against the bricks and tried to breathe. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the notebook. I'm writing this now by the light of a cracked window, crouched beside a boarded-up door. I don't know if I'll sleep. I probably won't. I'm close now. Maybe 5 blocks from the river. But the streets between here and there are wide and open. I'll have to move smart, wait for the fog to shift. I'll try again at dawn. If you're listening, keep your footsteps soft. Don't shout. Don't run unless you have to. Stay close to the walls. And if you ever feel the ground breathe under you, move. I waited for the light to change. I don't know if it was dawn or just the sky getting lighter behind the clouds, but the mist shifted. It thinned out in places, pulling toward the lower streets. That was my opening. The next few blocks are wide, no alleys to duck into, no low walls, just flat road and the skeletons of cars left where they died. I moved as low as I could, crouching between them. My legs burned after the first block, but I couldn't stand up straight. I saw signs that someone else had been here recently, chalk marks on the side of a delivery truck, 3 lines with an X over them. Maybe a message to someone else. Maybe a warning. In the 2nd block, I found a line of trash cans laid out across the road, side by side, as if someone had tried to make a barrier. Behind them, a cluster of pallets and old furniture stacked high. It looked like a wall thrown together in a hurry. I stepped carefully around it. I couldn't see anyone nearby, but I felt watched. I kept my head down, slow, listening for movement. Nothing. Just the scrape of my shoes on the pavement. Past the barrier, the road tilted downhill. I could smell the river before I saw it. Damp, muddy, mixed with that metallic taste that's been in the air for days. 3 blocks left. That's when the mist came again. Not slow this time. It poured in from both ends of the street. Fast, curling, rising. I ran to the nearest car and crouched behind it, holding my breath like that would make me invisible. The mist rolled up over the car, thick enough that I couldn't see my own hands. My ears felt like they were full of water. Every sound was muffled. I felt the ground move under me. Not shaking. Not like an earthquake. It was a push, a swell, like something deep below the street was trying to rise. The mist pressed against me, thick, heavy. My skin was damp from it. I closed my eyes and waited, thinking about that voice on the radio. Stay high. Don't move. I don't know how long I stayed like that. It could have been 5 minutes. It could have been 30. The air around me shifted, and I could finally see the street again, bit by bit. I stood up slow and kept walking. I was soaked. My hands, my face, my shirt sticking to me like glue. As I got closer to the river, I started to see signs of life. Not much. Just ropes strung between trees with scraps of fabric tied to them. Shapes carved into the bark of poles. At the last block before the river, I stopped. There was a tall wall made out of whatever people could find. Doors, wooden planks, twisted metal. Behind it, silence. Someone built this. Someone alive. I didn't call out. I just stood there with my pack on my shoulders, looking up at the wall, wondering if anyone was looking back at me through cracks. I'll wait here a while. Maybe someone will see me. Maybe they'll hear me when I try the radio tonight. The mist is behind me now, rolling in slow again, but I'm not going back. If you're listening, I've made it to the edge. If there's anyone here on the other side of this wall, I'll find out soon enough. I've been sitting here on the pavement outside this wall for hours now. My pack is leaning against my leg, and I keep watching the cracks between the planks, waiting for an eye to look back. Nothing yet. The wall is tall enough that I can't climb it, even if I wanted to. Someone knew what they were doing when they built this. Pieces of old doors, big sheets of metal, wired together tight. The river is just ahead. I can hear it. It doesn't sound like it used to. It used to have a steady flow, a soft noise. Now it sounds slow, uneven, like it's choking on itself. Every so often there's a hollow slap, like water hitting something solid. I pulled out the radio a while ago, switched it on. I pressed the button and said, "This is James Stone. I'm outside a wall near the river. I heard your voice. If you can hear me, answer." I let go and waited. Nothing for a while. Just static. Then, finally, a voice. "Stone, stay where you are." I almost dropped the radio. I pressed the button fast. "I hear you. I'm at the wall. I can hear the river. Tell me what to do." Static again then. "Stay down. Mist is coming. Don't speak loud. Don't open gate yet." "Is there anyone alive in there?" I said. "Alive," the voice said. Not safe yet. Wait. Do not cross the river. The river isn't clean. I sat back and let go of the button. My hand was shaking. After that, I kept my back against the wall, staring at the street I just came from. The mist is creeping back again. It's slower here, but it's coming. A few minutes ago, I looked up at the sky. The clouds above the river don't look right. They're lower than the ones over the city. They roll in slow circles, and sometimes they dip down like they're trying to touch the water. Then I saw it. The mist pulling toward the river. It's not coming in from just one street. It's sliding from every direction. All of it bending like it's being pulled by something out in the middle of the water. I pressed the button again. What's happening? It's going to reach me soon. The voice came back clearer this time, urgent. Stay against the wall. Don't move. Don't touch the ground when it gets here. Use anything. Stand on it. Pallets, cars, anything. If it covers you, it listens. What listens? I said. Static. Then just one word. Beneath. And then the voice was gone. I pulled myself onto the hood of a dead car that's parked next to the wall. My legs are tucked up, my pack on my lap. The mist is thickening now, curling up around the tires. It's rising like slow water, inch by inch. I don't know what's on the other side of this wall. I don't know how many of them there are, but someone's in there, and they're watching this too. If you're listening, I'm going to wait it out. I'm not moving. I'm not touching the ground. And I'm not looking away from that street.